What do you do when you disagree with your husband or your partner? How do you disagree appropriately? Hi everyone, Nicole here, and today's video I want to share with you 5 steps to take when you feel in disagreement, when you are in disagreement with your partner or your husband. First, I just want to say that you're not always going to agree with your man. You're not always going to be on the same page as your husband or your partner. And you know what? That's okay. They've actually done research and have seen and which has shown that happy couples don't necessarily agree with everything. They don't always not fight. They can still be, head to head on certain issues, and they can still be happy and have that loving, lasting relationship. So in today's video, I want to share steps that you can take to get to that point, to make it so that disagreements aren't a big challenge or obstacle in your relationship. You guys can still disagree on certain things and lean in towards each other and have it not ruin your whole day after. And step number 1 is going to be to not make it about you. If you disagree with your partner, if he has a different point of view on something that you do, it has nothing to do with you. It doesn't mean that what you believe is less important. It doesn't mean what you believe is wrong. And the more you can be solid and unwavering in your own beliefs, in your own point of view, the less you're going to be unsettled when your partner has a different point of view and when you disagree on something. Disagreeing with your husband does not mean that there is something wrong with you or even with the relationship. You can have a rich, wonderful relationship with someone that you don't agree with everything on, right? Like it can be an opportunity for the two of you to really see different perspectives in life, to really grow and lead a more full life in terms of perspectives, opening and broadening your perspectives on the world. But if you're shaky with your own beliefs or with your own self-confidence, it might feel not so good to disagree with your husband. And you might believe that by association, if your husband believes something or your partner believes something, that people are going to think you automatically also believe that. So if you feel that way, it could be that you're concerned that it's going to be a reflection on you. But again, if you are solid in your point of view, in what you believe, in what you think, you can overcome that because you know that deep down inside, that is not necessarily your truth, is just your partner's truth. And he can have his own, you can have your own and still be in a wonderful relationship. And if other people bring it up, if other people start thinking that way, you do have the opportunity to address that. Now, obviously, you're not going to want to seem like you're not on your husband's side. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but it's still okay for you to maintain certain independence in terms of each other's point of views. So bottom line, if you disagree on something, do not make it about you. Number 2, the second thing you're going to want to do is really think, is this a deal breaker? Does this go against one of your core values? And can you just not be around someone who believes in this or disagrees with you on something? Obviously, there are different levels of this, right? Like you guys might disagree in terms of how you put the dishes in the dishwasher. Are you going to let that turn into an argument? Or maybe you guys disagree on some sort of world politics. And I've shared this story before where you might have heard it, where me and my husband were disagreeing on politics for a while. And every time we'd get into a conversation about this, we would disagree and it would turn into an argument. And at one point, I actually stopped and got curious to see why can we not talk about this? And it turns out that my husband shared that, it felt like I wasn't on his side. I was just jumping in with my opinion, giving an alternative point of view, and it felt like we weren't a team anymore. So that's going to be number 3. Be on his side. Even though you guys disagree on something, be on each other's side anyways. You can disagree, but still simply kind of validate what they're saying or what they're thinking, not necessarily agreeing. So I'm not saying that you kind of agree with things you don't agree with just to keep the peace in your relationship or your marriage, but you can validate what someone believes or thinks without taking it on as your own opinion. So be on his side. You don't necessarily have to agree, but you want to feel like you guys are in a partnership together. Acknowledge his point of view. And what you can do as number 4 is to just get curious. Get curious about where this point of view comes from. And you can simply say, I have a different point of view. Tell me more about that. I'm curious about what makes you think of it that way. I'm curious to know more about how you see it. And engage in a conversation. This is going to make him self-reflect, and at the same time, it's an opportunity for you to get to know him better. And the more you know your husband or your partner in depth to the core of what he believes and he values, the more you can grow a strong relationship together. And you know what? It's not on you to change your partner's mind about something. I know for myself, like, we have different views, my husband and I, on certain things. And at first I would let it bug me. And like I said, we would talk about certain touchy subjects and it would lead to a fight or an argument. And then I realized that the more I just respect his opinion, I stay strong in my own opinions, and we can have just like a nice intellectual conversation about this and not get all our emotions wrapped into it, our egos, and it making it mean something about us. The more I notice every now and then, some of our perspectives that were maybe differing start to merge together, or we start taking on each other's point of view. And it wasn't from forcing them, it wasn't trying to convince our partner of something or trying to make him see why we're right and he should believe what we believe just because we're married or just because we're together. It was just from a natural acceptance. And number 5, if you really feel like you need to share your perspective, share maybe a contradictory or a conflicting perspective, I encourage you to ask permission. Ask permission, especially depending on the context of your conversation with him. So if he's really venting and, he's really sharing his opinion, I mean, at the end of that, once you feel like he's really let it out, you can ask or, seek permission to see if he would be open to hearing what you have to say about it. If he's really venting, though, I would really encourage you to give him that space. Maybe he just needs to get it off his chest. He needs to feel like you're listening to him and not like you're just going to make him feel wrong about it. In other situations, if it's really just, a very rational exchange, you guys saw something on the news or in the newspaper, I mean, asking for permission might look a little bit different, and it might just be something casual, like, hey, I think something different about that. Would you be open to hearing about it? Or, hey, can I share what I think about that? Or something a lot more casual. And having said that, though, even if it is a much more heated conversation, I would encourage you to, depending on where you guys are at in the relationship, this is where it gets tricky, and I love chatting with women one-on-one to see what's going on specifically in your case. You might also want to keep it casual to not trigger more of an emotional response if your man is venting in this situation. All right, so those are the 5 steps I would encourage you to take if you disagree with your husband on something. And just a reminder, like I said, having different opinions in your relationship and disagreeing on things is actually a great way to grow as a couple and to see new perspectives and just have a richer relationship, right? Like, imagine you guys just agree on everything all the time. I would dare say that there might be a little bit of boredom that could stem from that. So being able to challenge each other in like a productive and loving way is a great way to be on like a personal development and spiritual growth journey together. And also, when you get to see different perspectives and really go deep and really get into it, like I said, you get to understand the other person better at the core level. And that's where you can fall even more in love and have a deeper bond. And hearing another opinion or perspective just can add richness to your own, right? It can either add richness or depth to already what you believe, or it can even just reaffirm what you already believe. So in a way, it's all upsides to listening to someone else's point of view, as long as you can detach from the meaning that you're associating with you and how you think other people are going to perceive it. So I'm curious to know what you think about this and the 5 steps that I shared with you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you'd like any support with disagreeing with your husband and with some of these techniques that I've shared, there's an application link in the description. Fill it out, let's have a chat and go from there. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.